My name is HuiChi. I'm the events manager for OpenZeppelin. Welcome to the first series of our community events. As a company, our mission is to protect the open economy. This means we want to share our knowledge and learn from each other. Through events like this, we're striving to find ways to make improvements and helping our community become more diverse, and I hope you can too. As you can see, we have an amazing lineup of female leaders working in blockchain development. I won't ruin it with the introductions. If you do have any questions during the event, feel free to ask using the Q&A function, or you can raise your hand towards the end and we can unmute you. Camila, I'll let you take the lead.
Thanks, HuiChi, and thanks so much, OpenZeppelin, for organizing this amazing panel. I'll start by introducing myself, and then would love for all of the panelists to tell us more about their background. So I'm Camila Russo. I'm the founder of the Defiant. The Defiant is a content platform focusing on decentralized finance with a daily newsletter, a podcast, a YouTube channel, website with all of this content. And I'm also the author of The Infinite Machine, the first book on the history of Ethereum. So for this panel, we'll be focusing on putting the female spotlight on blockchain and crypto. So would love for the panelists to introduce themselves, tell us kind of what they do, and also maybe if you can each say what was your first impression about maybe how male dominated or your impression about the crypto space when you first were getting in. Like, did you think it was diverse? Did it not matter? Did you notice that every conference you were like the only woman, or any anecdote like that can help kind of like set the stage for the conversation? Maybe Aparna, do you want to go first?
Hey everyone, I'm Aparna, co-founder and CTO at Opyn. I got into crypto around 2015. I was really interested in cryptography. I heard about Bitcoin and kind of just fell down the Reddit rabbit hole. From there, I started blockchain at Berkeley, where I taught the largest university accredited blockchain class. And I think I remember like back then, maybe we had like 10 founders on blockchain at Berkeley team, and I was maybe the only woman. I guess it didn't strike me as hard back then because I was like, oh, it's all okay, it's all cool. Like it's all equal. But I think as the years have gone by, I started to notice like, wait, there are some conversations where like beer nights with the bros I don't get invited to. Or like they just sit around and chat about trading in the initial days, and like I guess I don't really know how to follow along, or like what am I supposed to say? So I mean, now I'm building in DeFi and it only gets more difficult. But I guess it's also very interesting to like to want to participate but not know how.
Yeah. Thanks. No, I think at least I definitely kind of relate to that. Like being like, oh, it's all fine, and then just like as years go by, you're like, wait, this is getting more and more kind of suspicious, or like recurrent at least. So cool. Okay, so maybe Alexis, the other kind of Opyn co-founder, can follow.
Yeah, so I'm Alexis, co-founded Opyn with Aparna. I got into crypto around like 2017. Was just super excited by everything going on in the space. Joined blockchain at Berkeley, where I met Aparna and Zubin. And that year also founded She256, which is a 501c3 nonprofit focused on diversity and inclusion in the space. And the reason that She256 kind of came to be is because like I was going to tons of crypto events like that year, was just super excited about the space and like meeting everyone and learning as much as I could. But I did notice that at every event, it was like me and maybe one or two other women. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, I feel like women would be so excited about this. Like, of course, crypto is at the intersection of like tech and finance, which I think, especially at the time, like, and even now, like, doesn't necessarily put it at the best place, like culturally or socially. So we were just like, we got to do something about this. And so we founded She256 that year, kind of just based on that premise. And it's kind of grown a lot since then, but it's definitely based on those experiences.
Nice. Well,
Can you
definitely.
say, out of curiosity, how many members are in it in She256?
So She256 serves a lot of people these days. We've run a mentorship program, which is probably our biggest, over 1,000 people in over 40 countries at this point. But different initiatives serve different amounts of people. So we have a job board, which reaches a lot of people, a new Discord community. So trying to get as many people involved as we can.
So cool. Tal, do you wanna follow?
Sure. I'm a cryptographer. I work for the Algorand Foundation, which is the foundation that's associated with the Algo. And our mission is to build community, to be in charge of the governance, to create programs, grant programs, university programs, and so on. And I've been a cryptographer long before there was crypto. So I've been in this area that doesn't have women now close to 30 years. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And one thing I can say that over these 30 years, I think that there has been some improvement, not huge, not a lot. It's definitely, I mean, in cryptography, I would say that the number of women, maybe 15%, I'm not even sure. But it's definitely more than it was when I started. So maybe there's hope. And I think that organization like She256 or any other effort that's done, panels like these, they empower women and they're very important. And even if it looks like the change is really small, it's one person at a time that we're winning over and bringing in, it's still a change that after a long period of time would be noticeable. I heard about cryptocurrencies long before all of you. I mean, I probably heard about it already in 2011. And I wasn't really aware of the space and whether there were many women or men or so on. But looking at it now that I am involved in cryptocurrencies, actually, it does seem to me like there are a lot of women, but maybe it's only in comparison to cryptography itself.
Awesome. That's a very kind of encouraging message to hear that it's improving, and that you're seeing more women in crypto, that in maybe cryptography and like other maybe more technical areas, and like cryptocurrencies and DeFi and dApp development. That's really offers some hope, some light. Alice or Solange, whoever wants to go next.
Yeah, I can go next. I am Alice. I am a security researcher and smart contract auditor at OpenZeppelin. So I spend roughly half my time researching new changes in the space, new topics, and then the rest of my time I spend auditing smart contracts for companies who are going to launch and probably hold money in their contracts to make sure there's no bugs before they launch them. I have been in the space for about 3.5 years, I think. And similar to what Aparna was saying, when I joined, I guess I noticed that there were not many women, but I didn't care right at the beginning. I didn't feel like it mattered. I had just finished a CS degree. So I was like one of 2 women in my year doing computer science. And so I was basically used to being surrounded by men and there not being any women. So I didn't really think anything of it when I joined crypto. It was only really when I started going to conferences and I started seeing some of the ways that like you sit in a room that's full of men with men talking on the stage, and I started realizing that like there was something missing from like the way we were trying to move forwards. And so that's when I really started noticing, and I joined Women in Blockchain in New York. There's a big group of women here who organize events, and started trying to get more involved and do more reading around how we can try and help improve the number of women in this space.
Awesome. I definitely want to join Women in Blockchain in New York. I didn't know that existed. I'm right here in Brooklyn. That's
Me
great
too,
to hear.
me too.
Oh my God, yes.
So you can
Awesome.
send, maybe you can share the link of how to join.
I
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
I'll find it now.
Sol, last but not
Yeah.
least.
Yes, I knew Human in Blockchain New York before. So I started in the beginning of 17 in doing trades and then understanding what is blockchain and talking about Bitcoin and blockchain. I really I am good to explain things. So if I understand well something, I can explain. The people can understand too. So I really like to teach. But I am a developer. I did the computer science also, and it was very interesting when I started, because when I start something, whatever, I don't pay attention if there are men's or human. Doesn't matter. I'd like to do and I do. It's this. But in this space specifically, some persons said to me, hey, oh, it's very good, you are human with us. So I felt very well. I get a warm intro. So I really like it. And in fact, I think that we have some movements about human here in blockchain that it's very good, like there are a human in blockchain in Brazil. I am from Brazil too, and it's also helped me. And we have the Meta Gamma Delta. It's a DAO. That's Camila. It's over there too. It's a very organized, decentralized organization about human and power. So I think we are better now.
Definitely. Great. So, okay, so I think there's this theme of, I think, all of us coming to the space, being very excited about it, not kind of caring about being one of very few women, but then like slowly realizing, this could be better. So why do you think it's even important? Like, why are we even talking about this? Like, some people might say, it is what it is. Like, the blockchain is the most open space in the world. If women want to come, they should. If they don't, they shouldn't. Maybe they're just not interested. That's kind of the common argument that you hear. So why is it important to have a more diverse ecosystem? Why should women be included in crypto? Or like, what are your thoughts around kind of this argument? And whoever wants to go first.
I can start it. We think about to be equal. So to have more human, because we have a lot of men's. I think something like this. And yes, it's important because even for me, I don't pay attention if there are men's or human. I know that some human feels better if there are other humans. So it's important. I try to be a reference, like open spaces to other human. I forgot to say that I am a developer advocate on RSK. So I talk a lot about the products, but because I am a human, I am a reference too, and this is good. I hope to show to the other humans that, hey, came with me, it's very good here.
First of all, you said that maybe we don't care about being the only woman around or one amongst a few. I want to say that at the beginning, I didn't care when I just graduated from my PhD or doing my PhD and shortly after. But after time, I did come to realize that it is very important to have more women and more diversity, whether there are other diversifications that can happen, because it gives more content. People who are different think differently, and they add new ideas and opinions. And that's why it's important for the space that there would be diversity. Now, okay, so now maybe we say the space doesn't care, so we don't need it. But I want to say one more very important point. I think that this area of whether it's cryptography, computer science, crypto, and so on, these are really exciting areas. And for women to miss out on it, it's a pity, it's a shame that we block ourselves from this whole portion of jobs and possibilities and opportunities and so on. So the reason that I want to increase the number of women is because I'm hoping to give women more access to exciting things. And I think that that is important. And also on a very, very personal level, I have a group, they're all guys, and they always tell me, you manage the conversation anyway, why do you care if we're men or women? But we speak differently to each other, we communicate differently. And I think that also for us to be able to stay in this community and not to be driven out, we need to have some critical mass of women. I survived, I stayed, as I said, 30 years. But I think it would have been easier for me in many intersections in the road if I had a woman next to me who I could speak to, who I could converse with in a way that is the way that I want to speak. And it doesn't mean that I don't have male friends in the field and so on. It's just different. And it's different both for the area and for the individuals. And I think that that's why we need to encourage diversity, for difference of thought, to give women opportunities, and to make it a more welcoming place for the women who are already here.
So well put, 100% agree. Yeah, who wants to add to that?
Oh, you can go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. I really love those points you made. I literally in 3.5 years in the space, I know many women who have left the space because they didn't feel welcome, or they didn't feel like they belonged when they attended events, that sort of thing. And so I think the women who've remained are sort of the ones who've suffered through and not been driven away, but it's basically through luck. We could have so many more women in the space if it had been more welcoming over the last few years. The main thing that's motivated me is if you look at all the things in the world, basically all of them have been designed and built by men, and actually so many of them in some way, not on purpose, but accidentally disadvantaged women because they were designed by men and there were no women there. There's a great book called Invisible Women, which I would recommend everyone attending reads, which talks about like the data biases that have caused products in every industry in the world to disadvantage women, from like literally bus routes through cities tend to take routes that are more preferable for men. And there's so many examples in the book. And so obviously also the current financial system currently disadvantages women. And so if we're going to be trying to build the new financial system and an open economy, I think it's really important that women are there designing too, so that hopefully this new version of the economy can put women on like an equal footing to men.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago that women had to ask permission from their husbands to take out a mortgage in the US. Like, it's not even, it's not even that foreign and that kind of far away, but that used to happen. And so I think exactly right. Like this is hopefully a new financial system that at its very core, and like because of how its architecture is open and permissionless, that just like it just doesn't allow for that to happen. And it's not like, oh, like somebody needs to decide whether to give women access or not. Like the system itself can't leave them out. So I think that's super important. Yeah, Aparna, go ahead.
I can chime in. I think, Alice, what you said about building a more inclusive financial system, I think, why are we building a better financial system? Like, why not just use Wall Street? Why not just use everything that exists? But here we are, we've decided to build DeFi, to build cryptocurrencies. And this whole financial system is supposed to be much bigger than the existing one. If it's supposed to be bigger, how can it exclude parts of the population? If Wall Street is more inclusive towards women, why would women leave Wall Street and come to use crypto? You've basically eliminated half of your users by like targeting only a small segment of like segment of people who understand like crypto or speak the same, like talk the same, wear the same. I think a big part of why I want more women in this space is, even from personal experiences, there have been several times where I wake up and I think, wow, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a founder of my own company. In some weird ways, like, I don't know, how would I would probably not, I would definitely be in crypto, but definitely not in DeFi if some random stroke of events didn't bring me here today. And like, now I started a company and it's going, so I'm here. But there are times where it's hard for me to get out and be like, I want to build this, and this is something other women can use. And my opinion and perspectives matter. And if I feel that way, and like, I think of myself as like one of the very gritty women, how are 99.9% of the other women going to be? Like, no one's going to enter the space. And it's not for lack of intelligence, not for lack of determination, but merely because of the environment, which could push, if it could push me out, it's going to push everyone else out too.
Yeah, no, I think all of y'all made some really good points. And I love what you were saying, Kemi, about these systems like literally being designed such that they can't push people out. Like, it's written in the smart contract code. There's nothing you can even do. And I think that's an incredible aspect of these systems. And I definitely resonate, like, especially from a DeFi perspective. Like, I had no idea what an order book was until I started like building in DeFi. My first introduction to like finance was through DeFi, because crypto always felt more open, more accessible, something exciting, versus the traditional financial system that has always, at least to me, felt very closed off. And so I do think it's an incredible opportunity to like reshape the narrative of finance, and empower people to like take control of their own finances, no matter where they are, no matter who they are. Like, you don't have to be like 18 years old to like open a DeFi account. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter where you're located. It's pretty incredible. And the thing is, like, kind of, what Alice said, like a core tenet of what we've been doing at HuiChi 56 since forever is that the belief has been, we're building new financial and governance structures. How in the world can we do that well if the people aren't representative of the people that those structures are meant to serve? So I think it's like almost existential for crypto that everybody, that we have an audience building that is representative of the mission of kind of the space.
Totally. Okay, and then so I think it's so interesting what you mentioned, Aparna, about being a female founder in this space, and kind of this feeling of like, I wouldn't be here, wouldn't have like such, I don't know, like a big part of it, if I didn't have, like, if you weren't running your own company, like maybe you wouldn't have had the same opportunities, or So that just makes me think about the responsibility that we as women in this space have towards other women. What do you guys think about that? Like, how can, do we have a responsibility for other women? What and what does that look like? Like, what should women in this space be doing to draw more women in, or make the space more inclusive?
I think it's women who have a responsibility, but also men. Like every one of us in the space has a responsibility for making this space more inclusive. But that said, I do think like when I think of my own story, like two mentors who were both women helped me a lot on my journey. Like when I was getting started in research, Manusha Definity, I don't think she's at Definity anymore. She was like, I met her at a conference, and then she offered to like help read some of the research we're doing, and then eventually we ended up writing a paper with her. And it's like little acts like that of support and kindness which kept me interested in this space, which got me excited, like seeing another badass woman like killing it, and like that woman supporting me up was a big part of my excitement to continue to push myself. And I think I tried to do that for other women, and I think everyone kind of, when you see someone else who's eager and like young and can use a little bit of the support and encouragement, like even a few nice words can go a long way for them. And it's really interesting because I think when I think back to my days at blockchain at Berkeley, I had probably a couple of women come up to me later telling me that the only reason they got into crypto was because they saw me as a woman like up there with 10 other guys, and it was like, oh well, if she can do it, I can probably do it too. So
Nice. So mentoring, I guess, is a really important part. Just like encouraging other women you see in the space.
Yeah, giving them a little bit more of a push, because I think women tend to be more less confident than men, not because they're less skilled, but just because they are like less confident. I don't know why. Maybe that's how society has brought them up, but just nudge them a little bit more and they'll do more.
I like that. Anyone else have any thoughts on women's responsibility for other women?
Yes, I like the idea that we need to inspire and we need to open doors and open the ways, and in some moment pick up the hand and to bring more human with us. This is very important in all ways.
But yeah, I agree. For me, like in my personal experience as a founder, it's been tough, like, to be honest, because I really want to have more women in the Defiant, but sometimes, it's like I put out a job application, or like I put out feelers on like Twitter or like through like my network, and like all I get back is men, and it's like, okay. Like and then like luckily now I have a really like amazing editor in the Defiant, Bailey, who used to be at CoinDesk before. Like she's been awesome, but and like she's like the only other woman in the Defiant. I mean, we're a small team. We're like 12 people. So 2 of 12, I guess, is not that bad compared with other teams. But like even like myself, who like I'm a female founder, like I'm like really kind of consciously trying to get women in my company. It's super hard to do because it's like the reality is that all of the applicants, like most of the people kind of applying for jobs are men. So yeah, it's tough. It's I don't know. I think maybe like these networks are important, like HuiChi 256, like Meta Gamma Delta, just like, I don't know, these communities where you can like just like more easily find other women, and kind of just like expand your network of women in blockchain more that way. So you, I don't know, you have like a bigger pool of people to, whenever you're thinking about a project or something. I think maybe it's a good way around it.
Yes, I have an interesting history to tell. I was hired in a company in 2019 to build a new team, and they did the effort to find the human and men's. Nobody knows nothing, okay? But it's important because I teach for them inequality. I have the same number of men's and humans in these teams. We was 24 persons, 12 human, 12 men. But it was because the company thought about this, and they look persons that doesn't know nothing, but human that would like to learn.
I want to say about your point, Camila, I think that you made a very important point, and I want to emphasize it, despite the fact that you said it, that you can't just be passive and when you put a job out to wait and see what you get. In that case, you'll never hire diversity of candidates, not just women. I think that really, if you want to diversify, you have to go out and proactively try and find the people. I think that after some time, for example, when I was at IBM Research, all the grad female students knew that I was there and they would always apply to come as interns. But until that dynamic happens, you really have to be active and seek out and look, go to HuiChi 256, to other organizations and so on, and ask, do you have someone that would fit the bill? And I think that way you get more people in.
I partly view this as a deeper issue in that if you look at all the people who work in blockchain, there are far, far fewer women. And so if you manage to found a company and you manage to build it out with a 50-50 ratio of men and women, all that's doing, it's great for the company, but it does just mean that there's other companies out there with fewer women working for them. It's not actually increasing the diversity in the space until we start finding women who don't work in blockchain, who weren't going to go into tech, who weren't going to become engineers, and try and figure out, like, why are there so many more engineers from straight out of school? Why are there so many more men discovering and wanting to work in crypto?
We have a huge, sorry.
I was just going to say, like, I'm trying to improve the number of women at OpenZeppelin, and I'm very aware that, like, any woman we hire is just a woman who's not going to a different blockchain company potentially.
So we definitely have a pipeline issue. I mean, we're starting to suffer in high school. It continues through college, grad school if you go, and so on and so forth. But I'll tell you why I think that you getting more women into your company is positive and will increase the numbers. Because another woman, what's our problem? We're bleeding out. Women come and they leave. My daughter works at Google. It's like another woman gone every day. So the issue is that if a woman comes to your company, she feels comfortable, she feels great, she doesn't leave. We don't lose her. Eventually she will go and work someplace else. So I do think that it increases the number. It's not just a zero-sum game. I think we're creating a positive dynamic. When there are companies that have more women will stay there. And eventually our numbers will grow. So I don't think that you're just stealing it from me. We're increasing.
Right. It's like by hiring women, you are preventing them from leaving the space, not just like taking one woman from another blockchain company. And this makes me wonder, do you think there are any kind of structural differences in blockchain companies versus traditional Web2 companies that would maybe make this industry more suitable for women to stay in their career paths? Because like what we see in STEM careers or like in just like higher management is that women are graduating college and university in kind of the same ratio as men. They start out maybe in engineering jobs in almost kind of the same proportion, but what happens is that men advance and women fall off, and that's kind of because of like screwed up maternity leave policy that puts like all the burden in women, and like I don't know, like different kind of just like corporate policies like that like make women stay home or not like take all the opportunities that they otherwise would. So I'm wondering, like, what do you guys think that blockchain companies or like crypto could start to change that?
I do think
Question.
every crypto company being remote helps a lot, like a lot, because then that means women can be mothers, can be wives, can be like, can manage a family while also, you know, working. There's no longer a 3-hour commute one way and back. I think that allows not just women, but also like men to be better dads or like better husbands, and like everyone to have more share of time at home. Ideally, this is, but I don't know if that's what actually happens because of things that are remote. Maybe it's just like everyone clocks in more hours, but there's also like you save all this time from commuting so you can spend it on other things that need to happen.
It's very interesting what you said. I mean, nobody's commuting now anywhere, not also to the tech giants and so on. But the truth is that I've worked a lot all my life, but the minute that I joined the foundation, I in fact needed to work more because crypto doesn't sleep. Crypto is around the clock. So, I mean, of course, I've pulled all-nighters before. That was not the issue, and I know how to work like that. But here it's a continuous thing, and I think it's in some sense harder than regular tech. Regular tech, you do go home, and you can shut down, and you can be with your kids, with your partner, with yourself, whatever. But I think that crypto, in fact, is harder in some ways.
I've never worked in
Not
regular
an
tech.
optimistic thought.
I've never worked in regular tech, so this is just me thinking it could be good, but maybe not.
I think, I mean, those are both like two great points. I think it's like really hard to find the answer right now on like which industry will be better suited for women. I don't know. I wonder if like maybe this other kind of new way of working in DAOs will also have an impact. You know, right now there's this kind of new job, which is to be kind of like an employee of the DAO ecosystem, and you're like going from like one project to the next project, and not having like a traditional kind of contract. So I wonder if that kind of provides more flexibility for women and male allies who want to take on like house like baby work. I don't know, but I think these are kind of interesting questions that we need to consider as like us building this new industry. Like it should kind of come with like the correct kind of work policies that will allow for a more diverse like workforce, like for women to not like drop off in their career path, hopefully. So okay, so what I think Tal, you mentioned this, but interested in like everyone's experience on how you've seen the space change since you started. Yeah, like have you seen more women, or like maybe if you like started in Bitcoin and are now in DeFi, like maybe if you can talk about your own experience as you've kind of like transitioned in crypto.
If you're asking me, I didn't transition. I mean, I was in cryptography for most of my career, and I joined the Algorand Foundation in 2019, in April of 2019. This was really, of course, I knew about crypto, the protocols, the understanding of it, and so on. So this really is my first and only crypto job. So I can't say I came with the same group that I was at IBM to Algorand. As I said, they're all men. So I don't know, but the foundation does have quite a few women, which is very nice. So.
Nice. Has anyone else seen like a change in the number of women, or how women are treated in your time in crypto?
I guess so. I've been in a few different subspaces. I guess I started in like, I mean, at okay, on Reddit forums, you don't really know who's a man and woman. Like everyone's just anonymous, and like frogs, cats, dogs, that's what they are. When I started blockchain at Berkeley, I think part of still being at Berkeley meant I was surrounded by a lot of women. Sure, some in the organization, but some also just like not in crypto, but around school. So it felt like I saw a lot of women. I think transitioning into kind of research and like the Ethereum space as a full-time job, I saw far less women. It was still quite an accepting and inclusive space. I think transitioning into DeFi, I'm like, I see no women. Like I'm staring and I can't find any. I think part of that is DeFi is kind of like this intersection between Wall Street and like tech, and neither of these spaces have very many women. And then you take the intersection of the two and you're like, you end up with the least women possible. And I actually think I didn't realize how important it is to have other women around me until like I started working in DeFi, when I recognized, wow, like a lot of little things add up to make it an uncomfortable environment for women.
So like for all of you, like what have been some of those challenges that you face because you're one of few women, and what did you do to overcome it?
I guess I can start. Some of the smallest things are like how women are seen. Like maybe they're not seen as intelligent or as capable in like DeFi. I think men in general tend to be louder, more confident, and so that gives off like other men who are also loud and confident have a vibe with them, and it kind of amplifies, and it's like, oh, like you're all kind of the same friend group, but I'm not, because I'm not that confident or loud. And so it's kind of mistaken as, oh, maybe my abilities are less. Is one way. Even other things like memes in the space, like the what do you call them, mascots? Maybe not mascots. Like different organizations have like animals, creatures, like things that represent them. When a lot of them are like in some of the very subtle ways, they feel like they demean women and indirectly like demean my own abilities. But that's not to say any of these people are doing it with bad intentions. I think a lot of people in the space do truly are just doing it for fun, and like they're not like women suck and they're not misogynistic, and that's not where they're coming from at all. They're just like, oh, I'm saying things that are funny to me. And I think learning to understand that and accept that they do care, they do want to build something that's better. It's going to take them time to figure out how best to do that. And like me leaving means things will never change. Me staying is one step in the right direction to changing things. I think keeps me in the space.
So true. Yeah, anyone else want to share their challenges? Maybe Alice, you wanna go?
Yeah, sure. I completely agree with everything Aparna just said. I think that while there are some misogynistic men in the space, the vast majority, particularly like I feel like the men that I've worked with, actually want things to improve for women, and sometimes just aren't aware when they do or say something that it could be interpreted in that way. Like if you've been brought up in a society that has always acted in a slightly sexist way, you're bound to have that ingrained, and women have that ingrained in them too. To like, it's almost the done thing to view women as less intelligent. You have to like purposefully reprogram yourself to know that that's not the case. And I find that if I've got more confidence in just educating. Like if something happens and someone says something, then you can just like talk to them one-on-one and explain like, I know you didn't mean it like that, and I'm actually like not offended, but this is how what you did or said or whatever could be interpreted. And actually most people are very receptive to that sort of feedback. Crypto Twitter I find to be a completely different beast. Just block people. That's the best way of coping. Just keep blocking them all.
Yeah.
I'd like to say one thing about your last point. I agree 100%. It's very important to work only with people that are nice people, not to tolerate any jerks, whether women or men, but to really keep your environment positive around you and to get support from it. So definitely I've had this throughout the years. I want to say another point. I had 2 children during my career, in fact, 2 girls. And that brought up challenges. These were not external challenges brought upon me by what people did, but by the fact that I had made a choice that I want to have kids. And of course, that took a huge drain on my time. When I was young, and all the guys were running to advance and to compete to get forward, I had 2 girls. But the important thing that I want to say, I made this choice and I'm happy about this choice. And I understood what it would mean to have these kids and what impact it would have on my time. And what you need to do is you need to learn to manage your time better, not to go to work and chit chat next to the water fountain for half an hour, but to be a little bit more focused and get things done. And I think that unfortunately, many women choose not to have kids or to delay. Not that I'm saying that everybody should have a child. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying women who do want to have kids sometimes choose not to do it because they're concerned about their work. And I think that what you should do is you should think of how do I do them both? Very, very hard, but there are ways and you should do it. And just to say that it can be done.
I love that. So what are, and that dovetails nicely to the resources and what can women do to overcome all these challenges, like all the things that you've learned in your years in crypto. Yeah, what are some of the lessons that you'd like to pass on, and the best resources you found?
Friends.
Maybe Alexis. Oh,
Oh, I love
friends.
that answer.
Yeah.
Yes, I shared the Metagamma Delta Twitter on the chat for the new persons. I think it's important. I'd like to do a comment that maybe it's a message for the human. If I can get something, I never think that it's because I am a woman. Is this I always you try to do my best and doesn't matter.
But what do you do when people explain to you that you did get it because you're a woman?
Oh, depends. Some of them I really ignore. I block it, like Alice. I don't waste my time in this kind of conversation. I go to the points that are important.
What other lessons have you guys taken?
I think ask, like, if you're ever, so the number of messages I get from guys asking, can I invest in your company? Can I join as an engineer? Can I join as X? Can I use your product? Can you use my product? Men ask for all kinds of things all the
so
time.
true.
They don't hesitate. Women are like, should I ask? Should I not ask? And I would say, if you're even doubting yourself, ask, because men, like, if you're like, the number of messages I've gotten from men like asking the same thing is 100 times that. And sometimes, and like most of the times, you don't get things if you don't ask. So ask.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny and so great. And yeah, no, definitely. I think one thing that I always find really exciting about crypto is that it's literally like barely 10 years old. We are so young. Nobody's an expert. Like nobody knows everything. You're not gonna like, you can go out and make a really, really big change. It's like such a unique place and time and opportunity. So take advantage of it is what I would say. And there's also like a ton of people in this space that are really excited to support you and help you learn and grow. Like, I think especially in the Ethereum community, like at least like, through my experience, I've noticed like people are genuinely really excited to help you and are fond of new ideas. She256 has a lot of programs and a lot of great ways to get started. I'll put the link in the chat, but there's like a beginner's guide with resources to start learning. There's the mentorship program, of course, where you get paired one-on-one with a mentor who's working in the space. Job board is a great way to find open positions. There's the Discord channel, another great place to ask questions and just have conversations and keep up with the space. So tons of different ways to get involved and meet amazing people and make friends. And that definitely, helps.
Nice. Okay, so I think we need to be wrapping up, but I do wanna, I was just looking at the questions that we got. And so there's one question addressing assuming women go to work in other tech sectors, if crypto fails to retain them, are there specific tech sectors that are particularly attractive and welcoming, which retain female talent? And if so, what lessons can we take from these sectors, like a good model we can aim for?
I feel like this is an issue across all of tech. Like I think it was Tal was saying earlier, like women are leaving Google. It's not just a crypto thing. Maybe other areas in tech might be more welcoming, but I think in general, there is an exodus of women from the whole of tech to go and join other industries entirely.
Yeah.
And it's not just a crypto problem.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. And then this is a nice question to end on. What keeps you inspired about working in this space? And do you have recommendations for inspiring 10-year-old girls to work in tech?
I'll answer only partially. I'll tell you what inspires me. Women like the women here. I mean, I've enjoyed this panel completely. And I'm a woman in tech for a long time, but every time when I encounter women, I find them to be amazing. So I think that that's something that should inspire little girls as well, and inspire people to be in these fields.
I think for inspiring 10-year-old girls, even just talking to them about tech. So often when kids are growing up, boys are given male toys like cars and start like doing exercises to move towards more techie roles, and girls are given fake cooking equipment and dolls and stuff like that. And so even just like starting to talk to kids about, when I was growing up, my parents would discuss maths around the dinner table. And so that's how I ended up, like, I didn't even consider that it wasn't for girls. And I know that not every parent can start teaching their kids maths at the dinner table. I was very lucky from that point of view, but just like putting the idea in their minds growing up and giving them the toys that are more scientific, I think can make a really big difference. It's a career choice that many women don't even consider that it exists because it's never given to them as an option. And so I think even just presenting the option could make a big difference.
Yes, I totally agree with Alice. And I remember once I was teaching smart contracts, and two fathers was with your two little girls, I think 10, 11, and the girls are trying to create your first smart contract. So this is amazing. This is so cute. We need more of this from the fathers, from the parents, to stimulate the girls also.
I think what inspires me to stay in this space, as much as we've talked about like how there's so few women, is actually that a lot of people in this space genuinely care. It's in the weirdest ways the most inclusive space. I think where else can I like have been a dropout founder and like build a company and like become an expert in like under 2 years. And I think crypto is still so young, and everyone around, like there's so many young people in crypto. No one cares what your age is, no one cares what your background is. And I think ask and you shall seek. And yeah, that's quite true of the space.
Yeah, I love what Alice said. I think just get those young women started using this stuff. Like, I didn't know that like I could use a stock platform until I was in college pretty much. But every one of my male friends had already traded before. And like just getting these actual products into the hands of people, I think makes the biggest difference. And so I would definitely encourage that.
Alexis, you have like this amazing story on how you introduced your sister, right?
Yeah. Once I realized that, I was like, okay, my little sisters, this isn't happening to them. So like 3 or 4 years ago, I sent one of my little sisters some ETH to play with. She went on Uniswap, traded it for some DAI, and was like, we're just playing around with dApps on Ethereum. Then like last year got the Uni airdrop. And so there's this like a little like 11-year-old running around with the Uni airdrop. I'm like, what are you going to buy? Like amazing. Chocolate ice cream. But it's funny because now she'll I'm home right now actually. And like, we'll talk to her and she'll ask me like, what's going on in DeFi or like what dApps she should try out. She still has some ETH in her wallet. And it's just been like the best way to get her interested is just to use stuff.
So cool. Yeah. So get young girls to use DeFi, to interested in tech. Don't, get them only dolls, get them all types of toys. I agree. And I do agree with Aparna. I think this space is actually very, very inclusive. I see it like from like a writer, like a journalist perspective, from like going to cover traditional finance at Bloomberg and covering DeFi and Ethereum now. And it's just like young developers who have like who care a lot less like who you are, like where you're from, and whether you're a man or a woman or a frog. It just, so I think it's just there's a huge opportunity for women to take advantage of this and just like start building in a space that that is just like will be a lot more open to them, because like you can even be just anonymous and create like $1 billion protocol and nobody will know that you're a woman even. So definitely something to take advantage of for all of the little girls out there. So I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks everyone, all the amazing panelists, and thanks OpenZeppelin for organizing. And yeah, I think we're done. But I think like, yeah, everyone is like on Twitter if like the panelists have, or sorry, the attendees have any more questions or want to reach out.
Thanks for
Sounds good.
moderating.
Thank you, everyone.
You.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alice.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.